The Honourable Clayton Crosgrove.
Mr Chairman, can I thank the Minister for his very full answers to those questions. I think this is, we're sort of meeting new heights today in a piece of legislation like this. It hasn't been my experience that I've seen many ministers who are prepared to get up and point by point go through and give full explanations to a very worthwhile question. So I thank him for that. I think, and I'm gratified for his support of the SOP by Megan Woods in respect of Hagley Park, but I do hope he will give great consideration to the odd light that might go in around the odd cricket pitch there. I recall the sort of naysayers, not pointing at the Minister because I know he was in support of it, who there were about 120 of them, I think, who were very vocal in their opposition to the new wonderful facility that we have. I think you'd be hard pushed. You'd have to be have a high level of cynicism not to say that that is a world-class facility. I know that, which doesn't impinge, in fact enhances the quality of life of folks around it, given the thousands of people who turned up to watch the Black Caps time and time again. But noting, of course, that that particular facility does need lights and does need a few extra bits and pieces. So I suppose, in retrospect, we could look back and say to those naysayers, you know, maybe they should have just held their breath a little, had a look at it, because it is very, very easy, of course, to be negative and to be opposed to everything that people want to put up in terms of enhancing our environment. If you look at Hagley Park especially, having had a history of sporting facilities there, many of us sort of shook our heads at the time and thought, what is there to object to? Sir, I'm also gratified at the Minister's comments around flexible consultation, and I take him at his word. I think it's logical to suggest that consultation be tailor-made and fit for purpose depending on the scale and size of a particular project or proposal. I've got to say, people in Canterbury, I believe, will endorse that. They will endorse it also because it's led by local leadership. No disrespect to our fine public service, but I think there has been a feeling for some years that at the level of input, direct input, that the so-called, to use the cliche, faceless bureaucrat has had in Christchurch. Those folks do a job. They do their job based on what their political masters tell them, and that's as it should be. But it's only the political masters ultimately that can be held accountable, or those local people or politicians in leadership that can be held accountable for the decisions that are made. And I think it has been a point made by many in Greater Christchurch and Canterbury that we have had too many bureaucrats parachuted in, going tut, 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 or certainly that has been the perception, and that many decisions have been made without due consultation. I greet the Minister's comments positively because I think there's now been a realisation that to consult doesn't mean you're ever going to get consensus. Of course you'll never get that, and to those who feel that if you're somehow forced to consult you will never get anywhere because you have to gain total consensus, that is a false assumption. You'll never gain consensus, but with quality consultation there will be, I think, quality input, and people, even if they disagree with the decision at the end, I think Cantabrians and most people of common sense would say, well, we had a fair shake, we were allowed to have a go, we put our views forward, we didn't win at the end of the day, however, you know, we'll get in behind, we'll get on with it. I think in the last 5 years where there has been a history of people who have been less than supportive, it is based, in fact, not on a wish to oppose for opposition's sake, but based on a concern that their voices were not heard, or if they were just completely disregarded, or if they weren't, that the decision had been preordained. Rightly or wrongly, that was the perception of many in the communities. So I think this bill, as where the rubber hits the road, of course, is the Clause 16 odd ones, the development and amendment of plans. I believe you will see high-quality proposals generated from grassroots level with people who have standing and leadership positions through this bill who will take account of that. But as I say, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to get everything that they want. And people, I think, in Christchurch know and acknowledge that. What they want to know is, Mr.
The
Chair,
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
what they want to know, sir, and I think I said it in a speech I made just after when the House sat directly after the major earthquakes, the people, local people generally are the experts in their own environment and their own communities. They know where resources have to be, they know where the needs are, and they can provide, in my view, the highest possible quality input. But they need credibility and integrity and the confidence around the process. And I think this bill, given that it does have support across the party, given that in the spirit in which we're dealing with today, where not often members will put up amendments and they're immediately reviewed and accepted by a minister, given that the minister is prepared to provide reassurance as we go through this process, that this bill will provide, I think, in large part, very high quality outcomes.
Mr. Chairman.